Welcome back. You're watching Business Morning on Channels Television. So let's start our conversation around the Nigeria energy market. But we're starting, of course, taking a look at the top 7 stocks we track for you on the program. Oil and gas stocks, that is, listed on the Nigerian Stock Exchange. And yesterday we saw renewed activity around Mobil and Total. Those were the only 2 gainers on the chart for yesterday, or for the 7 that we track here on the program, and that was enough to push the daily index up. But let's review these numbers. Corn oil still unchanged at 37 naira 35 kobo. Fortail dropped almost 3% from its share price to close at 67 naira. Mobil was up 1.34% with 541,835 units exchanged. It closed at 264 naira. MRS had about 2,600 units exchanged by investors, but no change percentage-wise. It finished at 43 naira 24 kobo. And for Oando, that dropped 2.35%. So this week, it's been a little bit of a mixed bag for Oando. Positives here, negatives there. But for yesterday, it dropped 2.35%, and a volume of 2.51 million was done on that particular equity. We saw the price coming in at 4 naira 58 kobo. And Seplat is unchanged as well at 370 naira, while Total had the most gains of the oil and gas stocks. 7 oil and gas stocks we track of 3.34% to close at 294 naira 97 kobo. So as I said, the gains recorded by Mobil and Total was enough to push the index to positive territory. It was up 0.10%. Year to date looks a little bit better, 5.9%, and dividend yield is at 2.1%. So we're still talking about the green bonds. That conversation gets more interesting as we count down to when it's actually issued. About 20 billion naira worth of that bonds will be issued by the federal government, and it's supposed to fund renewable energy and environmental friendly projects, according to the Minister of Environment, Mrs. Amina Mohammed. Conversations yesterday with ARM Securities Investment Research Analyst Kayode Omoshobi looks as if that investors are quite keen on buying into this particular bond, and it will be a very good mix for the pension fund administrators and other financial institutions at this time, especially as more investors are looking to divest their portfolios. So let's bring in Channels Business News editor Bosun Omofai to give us his perspective and weigh in on this conversation at this time. Bosun, a good morning to you.
Okay, I should weigh in on the $20 billion conversation.
It's a very interesting conversation. Who wouldn't want to come in?
No, I don't mind. $20 billion, you want my comments? I'm part of it. I'm game. That's a lot of money on the table, even by today's exchange rate. If you do $20 billion by 490 on the street, 305 for the interbank, that's quite a lot of money, so that we can use. But again, we need to have a bit more conversation, and this is really good on one side. But we need to, I think where the conversation should be right now is this. Nigeria is pursuing an energy mix. So we've done dirty fuel or dirty energy for so long, which is hydrocarbon, whatever you.
Not to mention gas flaring.
No. With gas and the entire hydrocarbon business. But now we want to go clean. So, yes, so which is good. Solar, a bit of hydro that we've done before, which is also clean and what have you. But Nigeria is still talking about coal. The vice president talked about it. The former president, Obasanjo, talked about it in Lusaka, Zambia, at the African Development Bank annual meetings last year. The vice president has talked about it, that we need to have an energy mix. So we're pursuing coal, which is a form of dirty energy. So if you look at India and other parts of the world. Now, if we're pursuing an energy mix in which we believe that we have coal, and as I'm talking to you, Dangote Group is already investing in that. There are machines, equipment that will extract the coal that the Dangote Group had purchased, and they've met with some of the manufacturers testing which equipment will work to extract coal in different parts of Nigeria. Again, if you look at the FX, with Dangote Group, for example, bringing in coal from South Africa, importing coal from South Africa to power his plants, that's a lot of heavy costs. So with the exchange rate, it makes sense for Aliko Dangote to extract coal from Nigeria, and it's in the process of that. And those who are selling equipment to extract coal in Nigeria, and I know one or two of them, in talk with them, they are testing a number of equipments across Nigeria, which they are selling more. So those foreign companies that sell coal extracting equipment are already in the country, and they are making, they're looking at clientele, they're testing a number of equipments in Calabar, in Enugu, in other parts of Nigeria already. So Nigeria will extract coal, which is a form of dirty fuel. Now we want to do a green bond of $20 billion. The key question I want to ask is that if the Nigeria's Energy Ministry, or the Power Ministry to be more specific, is on the same page with Amina Mohammed in this pursuit, in pursuit of green bonds. I want to know specifically, what does the Minister of Power, or Federal Minister of Power, Housing and Works and Housing think about the green bond? Is Babatunde Fashola SAN on the same page with Amina Mohammed? We need to know what exactly we're driving at, or we're pursuing the two at the same time, trying to be good with the rest of the world and go with the rest of the world, carbon pricing, removing, reducing our carbon footprint, making sure that we look good and we meet our obligations to the Marrakesh conference.
I remember that we had the Minister of Power, Works and Housing here in our studios on Sunrise Daily, and he talked about 2017, the federal government looking at a whole lot of energy mix, and you already mentioned that. And he says more of solar, more of gas, but more and more trying to, in line, I guess it was trying to, synchronize with what the Ministry of Environment is starting, looking at more environmentally friendly projects in terms of generating clean energy and much needed power.
I agree with you, but again, how much of solar can we drive to power the big industries and mining, for example? You can use solar to dig underground for mineral resources. You can use solar power to dig for gold or coal. It ain't going to happen. You can use solar for that. So what do you need? You need something very strong and big. And so you're talking about either hydro or something like coal-fired plants or heavy gas-fired plants that can help you go underground hundreds and hundreds of meters to get the metals out. And that is a different thing we need to think about. It's good, and the $20 billion green bonds, I'm a disciple of it. I like it. We need to go green. The world is getting worse on a day-by-day, but on a daily basis. Last year was the hottest year in recorded human history. I knew how I felt last year. Do I want to feel the same way in 2017? I don't want to feel that hot. I want things a lot more cooler, Harry. Yes. So whatever it takes, let's share the carbon pricing amongst ourselves. Let's put money on the table. Let the energy companies operating in Nigeria, the big boys and the indigenous one, buy into this idea and the green bonds projects. However, we need to be very clear, out front door, poster-like, this is what we're pursuing and when. If we're going to have, in the meantime, pursue coal, how many years are we looking at of doing coal, and then we begin to scale back and begin to scale back until we take it off our menu list of energy mix in Nigeria, when we would have balanced out with solar, for example. I'm not sure we have so much of wind in Nigeria, except somewhere around the Mambila Plateau or whatever. I'm not sure how much we can get out of that, of wind energy in Nigeria. Countries like Ethiopia and Kenya are more are blessed with that.
According to the minister, this particular, proceeds from this particular bond will be used to fund an electric vehicle commuter project in the city. I'm sure she's talking about Abuja, and then tree planting in the country's arid north. So already a plan is in place. She's giving us a breakdown of what we're going to be doing. So we might not be focusing so much on the dirty energy, like you've said, but more on that clean part, getting the renewable energy to power electric cars. And that's something that we've been talking about for a very long time. You don't have electricity in your home anyway, but if this particular monies are put into funding this particular project, so that's always been a lot of issue for people. So when the money comes in, what is it doing? You don't just disburse it all around. It should be focused on a particular project. No,
this is not the money that goes into the pocket of the federal government. And I think we need to state this very out front there for everybody to know, that this $20 billion is not money that is going, that the Nigerian federal government is raising like you do the normal DMO bond or treasury bills, then you do like this is going to specific projects that will be tied to the United Nations Sustainable Energy various initiatives, the Marrakesh, the COP22, the Paris Agreement, and what have you, the former Kyoto, whatever it is, that will help us begin to clean up our own environment. We don't have so much footprint already. But again, we don't want to wait until nature catches up with us on the wrong side of nature itself. So therefore, we'll never be on the right side of things where the rest of the world is going. And that is good. However, we need to have a template or something that tells us what is the structure. If you're doing banking, how much is this is private banking, how much is this is consumer banking, how much of my portfolio is this product and this product or this service and what have you. I'm going to scale down on this and I'm going to ramp this up over a 5-year, 20, 25, 30-year period. Then we know what we're doing. I want to hear that conversation from the current power minister so that at once and for all we have a clear idea of where we're going. What is the current energy mix that we have? How many years do we want to run it? The new ideas that are coming as far as the clean energy is concerned, how many years are we looking at it? At what point would we have achieved what? Then how do we begin to scale down on dirty fuel and begin to ramp up on clean energy? We need to have a bit of a plan that is multi-year fold ahead of time, rather than doing it in a way that at the end of the day, we look at the green bond, cleaning the environment, but the energy ministry or the power ministry wants to do his own, make sure there's energy in Nigeria. Maybe a little bit of what former President Obasanjo just says, look, let's have coal and any form of energy first. We'll think about cleaning up the environment later. I'm not too sure Amina Mohammed will agree with President Obasanjo.
She'll not be particularly happy
with our statement that, look, let's get every form, and that's what President Obasanjo said in Zambia. Let's get every form of energy in here first. In some other parts of the world, even in developed economies, you still have coal. But they're looking at what percentage of coal is in our energy mix vis-a-vis renewables. And that is what we should have on the table right now. So it's very good I'm hearing every day from Amina Mohammed and the rest of our team as she's going to the UN on this, on the green bonds. I want to hear from the power sector as well, or the power minister, what is our energy mix and what is the calendar for it. Well, and that is what I would want to hear.
What me I'd like to hear, and I'm sure most investors would like to know, is what the tenor, the structure and the tenor of this particular bond will be. There's really no clarity on that particular one, what the tenor, what the yield is going to be.
Come out again, the structured finance people, the corporate finance people, the guys who are investment bankers will be sitting on it right now. Both locally, they have a number of advisors are coming through. Advisory groups also are coming from outside within the country. They're looking at the various issues of currency, of what size, what tranches will it go. I'm not sure $20 billion will go out to the streets at once for investors. Don't forget, we're also competing among other countries in the world who are also looking to raise green bonds, as it were. Morocco is doing quite some nice job around that already. So we'll be learning from Morocco in North Africa what the best practices are, what size can we take to the market, and what projects are we going to tie it to. Then we'll look at the investors' mood and appetite around the world for a few other things, and how many or how much of the local financial players, investors, the PFAs, what have you, insurance, reinsurance firms, and others, we will be able to bring to the table, and so that the entire money don't go out. We're also investing in it, putting our own money where our mouth is, and vice versa.
So we have the Ministry of Environment, we have the Ministry of Finance, we have the Ministry of Power Works and Housing. These are the folks that most likely are going to be driving this particular...
Right now, I've heard more, and if you look at the news, we've heard more from the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Environment on the same page on this. I'm looking at the Ministry of Power being part of the conversation and the engagement for the green bonds. It would look very, really good if we see the power minister being at the front holding Amina Mohammed by hand and say, look, we're together on this.
So it's a conversation that continues, of course. But Bosun, thank you so much for coming on the program and giving us your perspective on this particular issue.
We still have power next week. Electricity is one thing.
Bosun.
Meantime.
Bosun, see,
have a nice weekend.
Let's have a nice weekend.
Thank you.
That's why I wanted us to birth on this and not talk about the electricity in this.
A lot out there to talk about.
Bosun, you always want to bring in the electricity just in all of this and try to spoil the weekend for me and the rest of viewers who are watching this program. Bosun Omofoye, Channels Business News Editor, on the pursuit of green bonds. But we're back in just a moment. Stay with us.